Hey, what's going on, Meat Freaks? It's Jared. Thanks for stopping by the channel. Today we're going to talk about our recent competition that myself and the other guys did, how we finished in all the different categories, our overall experience, which was very positive. We're going to drink a couple of beers, a beer that we actually homebrewed a bunch of episodes back. I actually have to check and see what that episode was, and I'll double check and let you guys know. And then we're going to do a little barbecue, nothing big today. We've got some leftovers from some trimmings from the competition, so we've got some end cuts of some ribs, and then I was at the grocery store and got a pack of neck bones, pork neck bones. So we're just going to smoke those on the Weber today, have a little lunch, and talk about everything, you know, barbecue competition, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the video, and maybe it'll inspire some people to give, you know, competition barbecue a try. Stay tuned, let's get to cooking. Okay, so what we have here are the trimmings from our ribs from the weekend competition, as well as a couple neck bones that I picked up pretty inexpensively. I think it was $1.60 for the pack of 3 of those. And you don't get a lot of meat off of this, so what this really is kind of just a snack and a good way just to not waste food. You can make these into rib tips or something like that if you want to, but I'm just going to cook them up as they are, and when they're done, they're done. We'll pick them up off the grill and have a snack. I've had them sitting overnight in some apple juice, nothing other than just regular old apple juice. And I've patted them a little bit dry. I've gotten most of the excess fat off, although I've left some on there. That'll kind of help keep it from burning. And today we're going to use something different. I don't really feel like doing straight up traditional barbecue because I've been eating it pretty much all weekend. So we're going to go use some all-purpose rub, the jalapeno season all from Victory Lane. And then our restaurant supply store just sells this sort of generic jerk seasoning. So it'll be kind of jerk pork, spicy jerk pork, if you will. So let's just give these a good shake on. I really like this all-purpose seasoning if you like the spicy stuff, and I love the flavor of jalapeno, so we use this a lot just around the house on, I mean, pretty much everything. It's freaking awesome. And this was nicely given to us by the folks who own Code 3 Spices. I'll have to rub that one in better. We were just out there talking to them, and I guess they got this in as a sample, and we really liked it, and they weren't carrying it in the store at the time. Maybe they are now, but they were nice enough to give it to us, and we use it a lot. So we got a good base on there. And then let's get a good healthy roll of jerk seasoning. I'm not going to sauce these, I don't think, because I don't have any jerk sauce or anything like that right now. Although I could make some with a combination of things. But I think I'm just going to go with these as a sort of a dry rub, a kickback to maybe some Memphis style Q. It's pretty much just dry rubbed. At least my experience with Memphis Q has been. If you've had a different one, let me know where to go. I'd love to check it out. Memphis is only a few hours away from St. Louis. We used to have friends who lived down there, but unfortunately we don't anymore. They moved to Kansas City, so they just keep moving to great barbecue town after great barbecue town. Alright, let's get the back side of these seasoned up. We're going to cook on the Weber today. We don't have to go through so much charcoal, you know. No reason to heat up a big old smoker or the drum or anything like that, although the drum is efficient for just a little bit of food. Keep it very, very, very reasonable. Like I said, it's nice outside. We're just going to kick back with a couple of beers and talk about the channel, where it's going, where we'd like to see it go, and then how the competition went over the weekend. And as you guys can see, I'm not spending like a ton of time on this right now. I mean, there's going to be some baller spots. I'll go back over this off camera and kind of pat everything in and make it even, but you know, like I said, these is like pork tidbits, you know, and I'm not talking about Steve's mom. Just some pork tidbits. Alright guys, I think these are about ready. Let's head over to the pit. Okay, we got the pit up to about 250, 260. And we're actually going to use a couple hunks of orange wood. I know most people probably can't get orange wood, but I got this at my local barbecue shop, and just wanted to try it out. Seemed like a good opportunity to do so. Move that guy over. There you go. That's that guy right there. Let's go and flip this guy back around. There you go. I'm going to lay the bigger pieces obviously closer to the fire. Not that there's a lot of big pieces. Bones around here. And some of the smaller ribs. Alright. Sure looks like a lot of meat, but by the time that's all done rendering, it really won't be as much as it looks like. Take the rest of this seasoning. I'm going to put it on some of these guys that look a little more dry. There we go. Alright guys, well that's cooking and smoking away. I'll pull up a chair and pour a pint of beer and we'll talk about how the competition went. Okay guys, here's my little kegerator. I used to have a big 5-tap commercial one, but downsized. I'm going to redo my basement, but this is going to work just fine for now. Using a big mug today. I figured why not? Alright. Let's go talk competition barbecue. Alright guys, competition barbecue. It went pretty well. Our first competition was on 4/21. That was called Q in the Park. This is St. Louis Barbecue Society rules. There were 36 teams. Our goal was to not take last. Our very first time out of the gate, and we just didn't want to take last. And you know what? We met that goal. We did take 35th out of 36, admittedly, but we didn't take last. In chicken, we took 35th. In ribs, we took 19th. In pork, we took 34th. And in brisket, we took 33rd. Now here comes the excuses. So our first competition, that entire kind of late February, March, April, we were having truly wonderful weather here in St. Louis. And the weather turned the day of the competition, actually overnight. The smoker that we had is our vertical offset smoker, and it does not hold temperature very well. We've been cooking on it a lot. We'd just gotten it and made wonderful food, but it's because it was really nice outside. It wasn't windy. It was in our backyard. We were really comfortable where everything was. And once we got out to the competition, we didn't have a trailer or anything to cover the smoker, really. We just had a couple of pop-ups and a couple of tailgates on some trucks. The wind came in. We were cooking low and slow instead of hot and fast, which is a little more normal for barbecue competitions here in St. Louis. And fires were flaring up, and then it would cool down. And by the time all was said and done, almost no sleep, in the rain, in the mud. The brisket was extraordinarily dry. 1.5 of the pork butts was burnt. The other half that we turned in was really dry. We tried, extra sauce in it and things in it. They see right through that stuff. The judges see right through that. The ribs at 17th were really a good positive sign. So most of the guys that we've talked to on our circuit say once you start getting, about scores that are about 210 to 215, that's when you can start thinking about, hey, am I going to walk? Am I going to get a 10th or above or a 5th or above and win some money or a medal or a prize or whatever. So our highest for that was the ribs, and we got a 205.5885. And it's weighted. There's 3 categories they judge them in. I think it's flavor, texture, and appearance. And so we did pretty well with ribs, and I cooked those on a Weber kettle, which was awesome. So we beat all these other folks with these expensive, comparatively expensive, smokers and trailers and all these different things, and years and years and years of experience. And here's someone just out of their backyard, and they, ended up taking, so we took took 19th. Not too bad. That was a really encouraging sign. The chicken was really poor. We took 35th with a 189.9995. We got flagged for some appearance stuff, and the skin was not bite through. So that was a big problem. We worked a lot on that. I think you guys have seen us do a couple different chicken videos since we've had the channel up and going, just to try and improve on our chicken and that skin. On pork, we took 34th out of 36, 190.5885, which I was shocked because of how dry the pork was that we turned in. We had no money muscle. The chunks were all burnt, so we didn't turn those in. So it was just, nicely laid out pulled pork. And at a restaurant, slathered in sauce on a sandwich, it really wasn't bad tasting. But in a competition, it just wasn't going to fly. And then brisket, we took 33rd despite the dryness, with a 188.8230. And the brisket cook, like I said, was pretty downtrodden. Steve had been doing an awesome job with brisket on this cooker. I mean, making some of the most I wish we had the channel back in, just immaculate, beautiful, tasty briskets out of really cheaper cuts. I mean, using select and choice grade instead of prime or wagyu. And we were really encouraged going in, and then after all the issues that we had, using an offset stick burner, vertical stick burner, and what is essentially the early spring with it raining and really windy out, just didn't work out so well. So we've been practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing, and so we only did one more competition this year, and that would just happen this past weekend. And I'm happy to report a big improvement for our team. It's really encouraging. So we took this was the Festus County Fair and Barbecue competition, and there were 30 teams. We took 25th overall. Chicken, we went from a 189 to a 208. So that's a big jump. That's a really big jump. That is very encouraging. Even though we took 22nd, the fact that we were in that range, we were within just this close of being in that average range of being able to get a call. Chicken was a really strong category at this particular comp, and apparently, one of the four will just have dynamite competition. Then, the next competition, it could be a week later, the scores drop on it. So, you know what? Really, really encouraged by that. I think we need to sweeten up the sauce a bit. We tend to like spicier things, and as we're coming to find out at St. Louis competitions, they really like meat candy. They want sugary sweet sauces and very mild rubs, just basically contributing color and a little bit of background spice, so it's not just pure sugar. So ribs, we went from 19th with a 205 to a 206.1765. So we jumped 2 places in ribs, which was great. We think that the cut of the ribs, they were really thick ribs, hurt us. We heard from a bunch of the other teams that you really have to have a very, kind of a classic. I went to TGI Fridays and they give you, Chili's or something, and you get that amount of meat on the rib. They're looking for a very specific kind of, I don't want to say cut because it's the same cut, but thickness in the rib. Flavor and appearance were top notch on them, and we were really happy with them. So we're gonna start touching those up just a little bit and working on the quality of the cuts that we get from the butcher and see what we can do with those come next spring. Pork, we went from a 190.5885 to a 202.3525. So that's a big jump. That's a 12-13 point jump. I'm really proud of Gary. Gary took over the pork and handled it on our new smokers, which you guys can see one of them behind us. We went to drum smokers and had no issues with them whatsoever. They're fantastic competition cookers. And we got a few flavor things to work on, but as far as the quality of the cook, we were able to turn in money muscle chunks. The chunks were a little small. We're going to work on crusting up the horn side of the pork butt, and so money muscle chunks and pulls, and it was really very encouraging to get that in the one competition. And then we need to add a few more chunks of wood, I think. Gary was smoking with some hickory that he has on his property, which does make nice food. And then I guess he had heard from someone who knows pistachio nuts, and so it made a very, very slight, very mild, extraordinarily mild smoke flavor. But we've been told over and over now to pretty much stick to pecan or fruit woods. The hickory is always still a little too strong for most of the judges, so stick to your apple, your cherry, things like that, or mix in small, very small amounts of, a mesquite or, a hickory, something like that. But a big jump there. We're happy about that. Brisket went from a 188.82930 to a 194.1175. Still didn't break the 200 mark on that, but the thing about it was the smoke ring was a little thin, so once again I think adding a bit more as far as chunks of wood inside of the drums and getting used to the smoke. I know we're not going to get huge, like we're going to get on an offset or even in a Weber, when it's done right. But we should get a little bit better smoke ring than that. And you guys know briskets can be so finicky. Sometimes you get a big smoke ring out of nowhere and all you use is charcoal, and sometimes you've been, you know, on an offset and you get a really thin, very kind of bright, almost beef jerky looking color on the smoke ring, you know, that really dark pink. But a big jump, and the brisket was cooked really well. I think we needed to move more from a Texas-style salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder type of a rub to more of a traditional St. Louis, that mildly sweet sort of. Sorry guys, we got lots of pinner oak trees. It's just blowing and acorns are falling everywhere. But moving from a different rub that is more, I guess, typical for this area, even though we don't like it as much. And then I think stepping up from a select or a choice grade brisket up to a prime. I think that's going to make a big difference and put us in closer to that 205, 210, and then we can start to really, you know, edge up there. But overall, we really couldn't be happier. It's just our second competition. We jumped in every single category and the overall, and we beat teams, you know, with some of our food that also won medals that day. So, you know, they I don't know, took second place in ribs, but they took 26th in brisket, and we beat them, you know, by 2. So it was really encouraging thing. And like I said, we don't have some big rig or expensive smoke or anything. We just got 3 drum smokers and a Weber kettle, a couple tables, and the most expensive thing was a Cambro, so we didn't have to put them in and ruin coolers with grease. That was it. So I want to, you know, just tell you guys, if you got friends who want to do it, watch a few YouTube videos and look at some of these guys that are giving out good information. Try them in your backyard. Get yourself, you know, to a competition and talk to folks and ask them and look around at what kind of smokers they're using, you know, especially on the low end if you're wanting to get into it for, you know, just a little bit of money and see if you really like it. And see if, you know, see what happens. Enter the backyard. Some of these guys, some of these competitions will have a backyard thing. So if you've never competed before, it's your first time, you're only lumped in with those 8 to 10 people. We jumped right in with the whole flow of these guys that have been doing it for 12, 13, 14 years now. The St. Louis scene it's a tough circuit, and the fact that we're even doing this already, we've been told by some of the other teams that that's pretty amazing, and we just have to keep refining over the winter, keep working on our processes, make them very, you know, make it to where we can duplicate them at any time, anywhere, with any one of us doing the cook. That way, you know, you've got versatility. And then hammer down the cuts of the meat, the quality of the meats, and where you're getting them from. So you're getting just really repeatable results. And so we're going to do that. And we'll share as much of that information with you guys as we can as we move along. We're going to keep working on sauces, different rubs, different cuts of meat, how we're trimming them, how long we're cooking them, the wood that we're cooking them on, and we'll give out as much, like I said, as much information as we can, because we wouldn't be where we're at without the videos that other folks are making in their backyards and at competitions, and we want to continue to push that along and show, you know, folks that you can start with essentially nothing, just a couple of kettles and Weber kettles, and you can have fun on the weekends and do this with your friends. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a trailer. What you see on, you know, TV at Memphis and May and stuff is not, you know, it's not how everybody does it, and it's not how we're going to do it. So stick along with that, and hopefully we'll give you guys some good information, and the MotherPorkers will keep taking a big step up. But this beer, delicious. This I know is good. This was homebrewed on the Pigtails episode we did last August, so if you want to see that, check it out. There's not a lot of homebrew on it. We're going to do a few homebrew videos on how I homebrew at home, like, you know, detailed stuff, but haven't had time, been focusing more on the barbecue. But now that the last competition of the year is over, I think we got some time for that. And we do apologize for not filming anything out at the competition, but it just wasn't the right time. There was only 3 of us. We didn't have anybody, you know, and we're just a 3-person team. We didn't have anybody else out even hanging out to help film and ask us questions or anything like that. And, you know, we're still a little flustered getting set up, where things are at, you know, making sure the times are right, getting things turned in on time, you know, so it just wasn't the right time to actually bring the camera out and show you guys how we're doing it. You know, stick to some other guys who are doing it now and doing really well, like Aim and Claim the Smokers. James over there has been doing some competitions and winning like crazy from what I can tell. There's some other folks out there doing it as well. Just type in, you know, competition barbecue or barbecue competition. You'll find guys out there, you know, putting videos out of what it's like to be at the competition, what it's like the day of. Malcolm as well over at How to Barbecue Right. I think a lot of his earlier videos were kind of focused on him in the trailer prepping some meat and such for competitions. So stick around, guys. You know, it's going to be a fun ride as we continue to get more information out there for everyone, from homebrewed burgers to competition cues. So cheers, and thanks for tuning into the channel. Let's go check on these ribs and pork necks and see how they're doing. See you by the pit. Alright guys, let's see what we got. Oh, picking up some color. Looking really good, smelling good. Wood still burning along nicely. Kick the temp up to about 275. About another half hour or so, I'm going to start to spritz these, and we'll probably turn them and change position just for even cooking. We'll keep checking on them. Hey guys, it's been about 2.5, a little over 2.5 hours on a little cook here with the little bits. You can see we got some nice color for them. These guys are just about done for the small guys. I think I'm going to just actually take this guy off and eat it. And the rest we're going to put in a pan, and we're going to fill with a little apple juice and cover it with foil and put it back on. So take these guys off. Get some nice color forming on the neck bones. Oh man, this guy's looking really good. Try some neck bones if you guys have never actually tried smoking them. Delicious. The meat pulls right off, kind of like pulled pork. This guy's pretty crispy. It's really thin. You can see that. So I think I'm just going to take this guy off and eat it as well. Looking good. Little apple juice. Little tin foil back on the smoker for another hour, hour and a half, until the wife gets home. We'll have some good eating here. We'll check back in with you guys as soon as these are ready to eat. Alright guys, we got about 3.5 hours total on the smoker. Last bit in foil. Some apple juice. There they are. Steaming and looking good. Like I said, we're not saucing them so much today. Just looking to get tender. We got a nice pullback on the bit of the ribs. Let's cut back and give these babies a taste. I think they're going to be good. Alright guys, the cook's done. Everything smells amazing in here. I've never really used the orange wood before, especially like not mixed with something. So I've bought it a couple times and mixed it with some hickory or something like that. So I can't wait to really dig into these fully cooked ribs. The little short ones I took off the grill earlier and I just ate off camera. They tasted great, but didn't have a lot of smoke flavor to them yet. They still needed time to develop. So here we go. We got a rib here. Oh, look at that! Look at that beautiful little smoke ring right there. Looks awesome. A little piece of a trimming off of the end of a rib. Oh, that's really good. The orange was mild. Kind of apple-like, if you will. I like it though. It's a little different. It's very subtle, very mellow. Kind of like when you use like a pecan wood or something like that. Something that doesn't have a ton of flavor, but just a little background hint. A little hint of character. And we give, of course, we got smoked neck bones. Lots of smoke flavor in there. They look good. Oh man, guys, it's just pulled pork on a bone. I mean, seriously, that is just outstanding. The crust is magnificent. It's really juicy on the inside. Super easy to eat. No, you don't get a lot of meat off of the bones, but it's inexpensive. You buy those when you go to the store, and they've got just like a package, and it's $1.50 for a couple 3-pack or something. You buy those over time, and you just smoke a whole mess of them. Delicious. Or you steep one in your chili when you're making it, and I actually have a video I'm going to do coming up where I did a fatty with Steve not too long ago. We did a venison fatty and a regular fatty, and used the rest of it to do chili with, and it was freaking fantastic. I think you could steep one of these guys in your chili as well. All of that delicious meat, because there's not a ton of it, but what does come off is just so tender. Oh my goodness. Tons of flavor. Telling you. Just awesome. So pick some up, guys. Thanks for tuning into the video. Thanks for hanging out while we talked about, or I talked about all of the competition stuff. I'm sorry Steve couldn't make it, or Gary couldn't make it. Just me flying solo right now. These guys got other things to do as well, and they'll have videos coming out pretty soon where it's just them doing other things. So, you know what? We're going to keep pressing on and keep making the channel as good as we can. But you know what? If you want to know about our meat, what do you got to do? Just ask your mom, guys. We'll see you next time. Cheers.